Kalkadosh, Boker Or. Chodesh Tov, Masechet Makkot, Daf Yomi Daf Kavbet Amud Aleph 22a1. If you remember, we were just mentioning the difference between Yom Tov and Shabbat. That on Yom Tov, all the melachot of Shabbat are considered one melacha, right? On Yom Tov, meaning because it says Kol melechet avodah lo tasu, which means that all the melachot are one melacha, and on Shabbat it's separate. So we asked 1 second, if a person is going to come and cook the Gidan Hashem on Yom Tov, and we said that there's going to be 5 lashes, and we said that one of the lashes is going to be because of Mivashel B'Yom Tov, and then afterwards we said it's going to be because of Havara on Yom Tov. Mivashel and Havara is also 2 different melachot. One of them is making the fire, one of them is cooking, so it's also one. So therefore, why do we say that it's 2 separate avirot? So he said, Api Kavara, and you're going to put in the Gidan Hashem Nevila. Says the Gemara, Vatani came and he taught, Lokesh Taim. You're going to get 2 different lashes on the eating. V'shalosh al bishulo. You're going to get 2 lashes on the eating, because number 1, you eat gidan hashe, and number 2, you eat basar v'chalav. Because the gid with the chalav, it's basar v'chalav. Gidan hashe, you're not allowed to eat the gidan hashe anyway. So therefore, it's 2 avirot on the eating. V'shalosh al bishulo, 3 on the bishul. Number 1, cooking basar v'chalav. Number 2, cooking on Yom Tov for no reason. And number 3, the fire on Yom Tov. And if you're talking about that, you should be 3 on eating and 2 on the cooking. 3 on eating because you ate Gidan Hashe, you ate Basar v'chalav, and you ate Nivela. And then on the cooking, you should only be Chayav 2 because you cooked Basar v'chalav and you cooked on Yom Tov. But you shouldn't have 2 and 3, it should be 3 and 2. Ela, but rather, Api Kavara, you have to take out Havara v'ayil ma'atzeh asherah. You're right, take out the fire. You know what you had that in? You were cooking with the wood of an asherah tree. What is an asherah tree? Avodah zarah. It's a tree of avodah zarah, and you come and use the wood of an avodah zarah tree, and you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to use anything from the cherem. You're not allowed to use anything from the avodah zarah. So the fact that you cooked with avodah zarah wood, so therefore you're going to add in another avirah. So Elmaleh Ravashi asks Ravashi, you should also get lashes mishum lo tavi toeva al betecha. You're not allowed to bring the toeva into your house, right? This is when you bring your TV into your house, yeah? What does that mean? You're not allowed to bring a toeva into your house, right? What is a toeva, right? Avodah zarah. You shouldn't bring this into your house. So here it only says 5 lashes. Why should 5 lashes? And here we're dealing with, he says, Kigon should be shlo b'atzeh hekdesh. Not atzeh avodah zarah. If it was atzeh avodah zarah, it's even worse. But you use atzeh hekdesh. So you did milah. Which means you're not allowed to benefit. It's milah from benefiting from Ekdesh. So for when you came and used Atzeh Ekdesh for your fire, so therefore that's what you're going to get this other Avera. Siman, Shanvai Shanaz. Matkif Larovoshia, Velichshav Nami Azureh Benachaletan. 1 second, why don't we add in that if you have an Isur of Zorea in Nachaletan, and then you came and you covered it over. It says, that you're not allowed to come and you're not allowed to plant on it. Here it says that if you find somebody that was killed in a certain place and you don't know, the betin come out and they go to this nachal, now on that place you're not allowed to come and you're not allowed to plant and plow. So maybe you were doing it over there, and that's another avirah. So Matkifla Rav Chanina also said, imagine right now you're erasing the name of Hashem, one of the names of Hashem, when you're walking. So for example, you broke the Macharashato, right? And now what happens is that you put one of the names of Hashem there, and now when you're walking, you're erasing the name of Hashem. Another question also. Right? What does that mean? You're going to cut off the tzaraat from your beheaded, which means that you cut it off during the time of the macharisha. Right? We know that you're not allowed, when a person has tzaraat, he's not allowed to come and take off the tzaraat. So imagine right now the person that's coming, he's going to take off the tzaraat, right? So matkifla Abaye comes and he asks the 4th and the 5th question. And also you have a meziach at the choshen al ephod. If you're removing the choshen from the ephod, or a mesirit v'adei aron, right? You're taking off the aron. And you're doing this during the time of Charisha. Right? Ravashi comes and he asks a 6th question. And you should also count. What happens if you're plowing with the wood of an Asherah tree? The 7th question. If you're cutting down fruit trees. The eighth question. Right? If a person made a shivua, he's not going to do Chadisha on Yom Tov. So says the Gemara, no, 1 second. Here, right away, we stop, meaning you asked 20 questions here, right? He says, 1 second, this question in Bichal is not a question. Why? He says, no chal. He's already, meaning, imagine right now, a person comes and he's does a shivua, he's not going to be Mechalel Shabbat. And then he comes to Mechalel Shabbat. Is he over on the shivua? For sure not. Why not? Because he's already mushba me'ar Sinai. So it's the shivua cannot be chal. That cannot be chal on something that you're already mushba. So bichal it doesn't help. So Elmaleh, he says 1 second. So he says kegon de'amar shivua shelo echrosh bechol b'miyonto. He said no. He's made a shivua that he's not going to do charisha at all. Not on chol or not on Yom Tov. So migu that it is going to be chal on chol, it's going to be chal on Yom Tov. Okay, and that's why he did it that way. So says Gemara, we're not talking about something which you could come and you could ask a rabbi. Meaning, remember, whenever we're talking about Shavuot, you could always do Ataran Nedarim. So we're not talking about Ataran Nedarim, because the second you do Ataran Nedarim, you just took off the Avirah. So it says, Velo, Varegdesh. What about Hegdesh? Because we were talking about Hegdesh. Hegdesh, you could just redeem it. So he says, and no, what about the Bechor? Oh, no, what about the Nazir? You could get rid of the Bechor, you could do all these things you could get rid of, right? So answer the Gemara, the Nazir you couldn't because it's the Nazir Shimshon. So it says the Nazir Shimshon baram tu atimu lemetimu. Says 1 second, if he's a Nazir Shimshon, he says he's allowed to be metamem metim. Meaning a regular Nazir is not allowed to be metamem metim, but a Nazir Shimshon is allowed to, right? There's no raya from the pasuk you're not allowed to. Nazir Shimshon is allowed to. So he says elatana isur kolel letle. Our Tana was not talking about an isur kolel, which means that he says that even an isur sheni is more than the first one. Right? Meaning when you come and you put an isur, which is adding on to the previous isur. You made a shivua, right? And what was the shivua? The shivua was that you're not allowed to plow at all. It's going to be on Yom Tov. So that added onto the Yom Tov. Because ben bechol ben Yom Tov, b'Yom Tov anyway, you're not allowed to plow. But on the chol was what you're adding on. So he comes and he says, an isur kolel letli. He doesn't hold that if you're adding on to an extra isur, that it's going to be a sur. So Amar Rav Oshia comes and he says, Hamarbia, right? Hamarbia. So therefore, because of that, it comes out that it's not going to help us, this entire concept of, right, these things. Okay? We didn't actually answer, right, all the other questions, right, other than the fact that the Gemara doesn't answer these 7 questions. So we only answer the 8th question. But all the other questions, we didn't ask. We didn't answer. Meaning we asked, what about this one? What about this one? What about this one? We didn't answer. Comes the 8th question. That's when we came and we started answering. Okay? Now Rav Oshia comes and he says, if you're going to put 2 shores, which are psulem gudashim, together, right? So you're going to do a shore, which is ugdash for a korban, and it has a mum kavua. So therefore you can't. Now you redeem it. And you put it together with a para, you're going to get 2 sets of lashes. One, because lo ta'avor b'vchor shorecha, which means that you're not allowed to work a be'ema of kodshim. And the reviyah is also asur, because that's called avodah. So therefore, even though you came and you redeemed it, it's still kadosh to do this. That means even though it's holy, right, and you redeemed it afterwards, it's still kadosh. So you couldn't have worked it. Now, putting it to do it with another animal, that's considered work. And number 2, you actually made it work. So he comes and he says, Amar Yitzchak, says of Yitzchak, Hamanhig b'shor psulei megudashim lokeh sharei guf echad hu v'asao k'tuv kishne gufim. That means even though he only worked one animal, the Torah ki'ilu made it that it's 2 separate species. So since it's considered 2 separate species, that's why he says it's like kodshim, but he says it's considered 2 separate species. That's why he comes and he says that if you're going to be over on chulin in kodshim, it's like you're doing shor v'chamor b'yachtav, and therefore you're going to be chayav mishum kilayim. Okay? So here we're clear? Mishnah says the Mishnah, right? Mishnah, kama malkinoto, right? This is the famous thing what you asked before. How much lashes do you give a person? 40 chaser echat. You're going to give him 39 lashes. 40 minus 1. Shneimar b'setz pasuk b'mispar 40. What does it mean mispar 40? Minyan shu samuch l-40. It means that the number which is close to 40, which is 39. Rabbi Yehuda says 40 shlemot hu lokeh. Says no. I argue you get a full 40 lashes because it says 40 yakenu. Right? So 1 second, according to this, where are you going to give harbaim, which is on the 39, the extra one, ben ketefav, between the shoulders. Another halacha, which is very important, whenever we're going to evaluate how many lashes can you give a person, it's always going to be with makot, which you could divide into 3. Amdu lekabel arbaim. What happens if you could do 39, veloke b'miktzat, and all of a sudden he gets a few lashes, kabet amubet, right? V'amdu she'en yechol lekabel arbaim. Now he said, oh, you can't. Meaning, בהתחלה חשבנו שהוא יכול לקבל 40. זאת אומרת 39, כן? בהתחלה, we thought at the beginning he could get 39. They start giving him, this guy's going to go, הוא יהיה קדיש אחרי 20. So it's a different halacha. So he says patur, he's going to be patur. עמדו לקבל 18, right? But if they give him 18, and then משלקה, עמדו שיכול לקבל 40. Imagine, הם חשבו בהתחלה הוא רק יכול לקבל 18. He could only get 18. They gave him 18, the guy's an ox. You could give him another 20. No. That's it. You don't give him any more. Patur. Says the Gemara, Maitama. We're going to see the Gemara. Maitama. What is the reasoning why a person gets 40 lashes? If it's going to be written, I would have thought to say, Arba'im b'minyana, that it's going to be minyana of Arba'im. Hashta dichti b'mispar Arba'im. It's a minyan shu sokem et Arba'im. It's one which is being misakem, which means it's the next one. Remember, it's always the next one. How old are you? 39. It's always the next one. No, because when you say to the 39, it means that you fulfilled 39. You're in the 40th year. You're always the mispara ba'a, right? Because when a baby's a baby, he's not 1 year old. But technically he is 1 year old because he's already in the first year. So when you say he's 1, he fulfilled the first year. But kishu be'emtza ukvar b'shana sheni, he's already in the next year. So Amarava Rava says, Kama tipshe shari'inche. How tipshim are the people? The kaime mikameh sefer Torah, that they get up in front of a sefer Torah. They don't get up in front of a Tamid Chacham. The ilu b'sefer Torah k'tiv, but in the Torah it's written Arba'im, ve'atu Rabbanan b'atzruchada, and comes the Rabbanan, and they give you anacha. Meaning, the rabbis actually made your life easier. Instead of giving you 40 lashes, they give you 39. So Kilu, look at these tipshim that they get up for a sefer Torah, but they don't get up for a rabbi. Because the rabbi actually came and they good next. Rabbi Yehuda comes and says, no, you get the full 40. Rabbi says, what's the reason of Yehuda? It says in the pasuk, "Ma makot ele shebin yadecha." What are these makot between your hands? Ve'amani says, "Ashed huketi bet me'avai." These are the makot that I got. So therefore, he comes and he says, "What does that mean?" These are the makot be'avai, which means that these are the makot which put me in the derech ha'ishara. Meaning, all the shoshim v'teisha were not ben ha'ktafayim. This is the only one which is ben ha'ktafayim. So because of that, he says, I'm bringing a pasuk to teach you that you get between the shoulders. And this is the only one which is between the shoulders. And the rabbis, Rabbanan, he says, no, it's the rabbi hitting the students. We're not talking about lashes. If it was talking about lashes, atatzodek, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the rabbi that comes and hits the students. The rabbi comes and he always hits the students. So when he hits the students, he's hitting them between the shoulders. Okay? Next. What happens if they only used to come and evaluate them according to the makot, which are riyot lishtalesh, to divide by 3? So he says, laka in, lo laka lo. Meaning, only if he was kfar laka, then he gets patur. But if he wasn't laka, he's not going to be patur. Or meaning we have a contradiction. If they evaluate that you can take 40 lashes, and then they want to evaluate that you cannot take 40 lashes, it's going to be patur. So what's going on? In our Mishnah, we didn't say that we're talking about what's the difference between the first case and the second case. At the end of the case, we didn't say that he already got the lashes. It's mashma that there's no difference. Even if you didn't give him the lashes, the second you evaluated him, you got a doctor's note. And the doctor says he could only get 18. Kamarnu. He comes into the Medina. I look at him and say, hey, you could get much more than 18. Who is this doctor? You paid him off. Oh, what's going on here? No. The second he got the doctor's note, he could get 18. 18 is 18. He's patur. And the same thing the other way around. So Aman of Sheshat says of Sheshat, Lakashi, it's not a question. He says, our Mishnah is talking about a case where the Amdu v'chazru v'amdu shenit be'oto yom atzmo. But we're not going to say that it changed. So therefore it doesn't make sense. So therefore we're going to say Omen Darishon was actually Omen Muteh. And therefore it's Kilu, it's not there. So he says, and therefore if he didn't get the lashes, you should still give it to him again. Right? And only if you already started, then you're going to be patur. But if you gave it to him on a different day, then you could say, no, maybe Be'emet it's something different. But remember, from day to day, people could change. So therefore, there's no difference whether you already gave him the lashes or you didn't give him the lashes. Right? Yes. Avara, well, depends on the first case and the second case, if it was the same day or not the same day. Avara avera sheyesh ba shne lavin. Imagine a person comes and he does an avera which has 2 lavin, 2 different averot. Right? So, for example, he did one maaseh avera and there were two averot. So, for example, he was chadash, which was shor chamor, and he was kisat azraim. So he did two different averot. Amdu omed echad, and he could only give him one lashes. Lokeh upatur v'imlav, and if not, if they didn't give him the omed at the beginning, ela lav echad bilvad lokeh umitrape, he's going to get the lashes, and he's going to get right the refuah vechozer velokeh, and he's going to go and get the lashes again on the second one. Meaning, if not that they didn't give it to him on only a lav echad bilvad, he gets the lashes. הוא מתרפא, ואחרי שהוא מתרפא, אני אתן לו עוד פעם על הראש. Right? It says the Gemara, והתניא, we learned in the Braita, אין עומדין עומד אחד לשני לווין. I thought we said that you don't give him two counts. Meaning you're not going to come and start, Rav Shishal HaKash, it's not a question. had עמדו ל-40 וחדה, had עמדו ל-40 ותרתי. He says, is one of them, it was only able to get 41. So since this 41 cannot be mishtalesh, so therefore you could only give him 39. So it comes out that he only got lashes on one lav. So since he only got lashes on one lav, so therefore we have to wait until it becomes healed, and then you give it to him again on the second lav. However, though, if he could get 42, it comes out, right, that you could get the 42 lashes or more. So therefore, he got 39 on the first set, and then he got the 3 on the second set. The second he got 3 on the second set, and he I already gave him on the second one, so I don't have to give him again. Last Mishnah on the page, right? It says we're going to finish with this Mishnah, but it's only a Mishnah because the Gemara is on the next page. Keitzad, what's the case? How do you come and you give him lashes? We're going to put the two hands right on the amud, on the pole of wood. Yeah. Now he comes and he says that the pole was going to be an ama umechza or two amot, right? Helach ve'elach. You put them on two different hands, right? The hands on the two different sides. The Chazan HaKnesset was ochez bivgadav, and the Chazan HaKnesset, which is the shamash, the shliach betin, is going to take his clothing and he's going to pull it. Im nikru, if it tears, it tears. Nifremu, if it tore by the seams, meaning it didn't actually tear. If I take it here, that's called tearing. If I take it over there, that's where here is a seam. Right? Yes. Here is the seam. So if it tears here. If it's here, it's a seam. It didn't tear. It's nifremu. It's a tefer. Right? So he comes and it's just nifremu. So Adshu Megalet Libo, he has to reveal his heart, his flesh. There's a stone behind him. So the Chazan HaKnesset is standing on the Evan. Right? He's standing on the stone. He's got the Retzua, the belt in his hand. Right? But the belt has to come from an egel. Meaning it had to be made from the skins of an egel. Yes. So they fold it 1 to 2 and 2 to 4. Now you had 2 ritzuot of or of the chamor, which were on this or of the egel. Okay, it was on it. V'yada tefach. Now the handle was a tefach. V'rochva tefach. The width was a tefach. Right? The rosha mageta pikriso. So the top of the belt would be able to get to his stomach. Umakeoto. You hit him. Shlish milefanav, a third on his stomach. Ushtei yadot, and 2/3 milachorav on his back. Shneimar v'pilo hashofet. Right? That he has to be mapil et ze. Utal panav. Ve'amakeh makeh biyado achav b'chol kocho. Now he doesn't use both hands. כשאתה נותן מכות, the strongest is not with 2 hands. It's 1 hand. So you use 1 hand. מכeh biyad echad b'chol kocho. Ve'akoreh. You have somebody beside him. He's reading. Koreh. אם לא תשמור לעשות ויפלא השם במכותיך ובמכות עוזיך וחוזר לתחילת הברכת, you go back to the beginning. ושמרתם את דברי הברית הזאת וחותם, והוא רחום יכפר עוון, וחוזר לתחילת המקרא. You go back to the beginning of המקרא. ואם מת תחת ידו, if he dies, פטור. הוסיף לו עוד, but if he comes and he gives him an extra 1 and then he dies, he has to go to המקלט. נתקלקל. What happens if he made his necessities? בין בראי, בין במים, what doesn't matter whether it's excrement or with urine, פטור he becomes פטור. וזה ונקרא אחיך לעיניך. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Aish berei, Aisha is enough b'mayim. That means woman is enough urine. A man only if it's going to be with excrement.